Let's get out of here.
Welcome back to the 12th annual Halloween special. I hope you guys are having a great time. I certainly am. I'm very excited to be talking about Ginger Snaps, directed by John Fawcett. This movie came out in the year 2000 and wasn't very successful initially, but it became one of those movies that horror fans passed around a lot. And of course, at the time, a version of that was sharing the VHS with people or renting it, but also HBO reruns did a lot for this movie, which is about two death-obsessed sisters, outcasts in their suburban neighborhood, who must deal with the tragic consequences when one of them is bitten by a werewolf. The film stars Emily Perkins as Bridget and Katharine Isabelle as Ginger. Both of them work amazingly together. They really seem like sisters. Their chemistry is fantastic. I can read years on their faces. They're so good together. It really feels like they've known each other for a very long time. And the look of this movie, it's difficult to describe how much I love it. It has that very early 2000s fall filmic look. Rewatching the film tonight, it really struck me that this would be a fantastic double feature with Jennifer's Body. These two films are so similar in their feel. Both are horror movies about women who are discovering things about themselves they never knew through some kind of supernatural means, who have a close confidant who is experiencing all of this with them and is very terrified for them. In Jennifer's Body, it's her friend. In this movie, it's her sister. Jennifer's Body obviously had a bigger budget, and I think Karyn Kusama is a true visionary filmmaker. Not to take anything away from John Fawcett, but clearly, Ginger Snaps was a blueprint. It's also the rare horror film that is technically a monster movie that doesn't really have all that much monster in it and isn't really about the monster itself. Yes, there are scenes in which you've got to run away from a creature that's trying to kill you, but it's really about the central relationship of these sisters crumbling as they were both very united at the start of the movie. For a class project, they reenact a bunch of photos that appear to be crime scene evidence, where they are dead, and they try to make it look as authentic as possible. They hate everyone in their school, they don't get along with anyone, they are so close that they feel like almost one person. And when one of them becomes a werewolf and starts changing and becoming more like the other kids at school, wanting to have sex, wanting to be popular, wanting to experiment, the other is left wondering what's happening to her sister. And this is that perfect example of a genre movie that's able to have all of the horror trappings that you want, but have a very fantastic story in the middle of it, to the point where you don't care as much that the werewolf stuff kind of takes a back seat for a while. It's also a pretty risky movie, believe it or not. When you watch it nowadays, it feels kind of innocent and fun. But in the year 2000, when this came out, violence in schools was a massive topic of conversation. And it actually was very difficult for the filmmakers to get financing initially because of that. And it's also the fact that the characters are kind of blasé about it. They don't seem to care about death. They laugh in its face. And they hate the kids in this school so much that when Ginger is asked out, her rejection is one of my favorites I've ever seen in a movie.
So, Fitz, I think we should get together.
Oh.
It just cuts right to the point. But it's really that pause where she stares at him for so long as if to say, are you insane? What planet do you live on that you think I would ever want to be with you? You see all that on her face. It's fantastic. I also think that Emily Perkins gives a very brave performance in this movie that is not talked about enough, because everything she's doing is definitely a choice. And of course, every actor makes choices, but this is a very specific way to play this character. She is on the razor's edge of losing it in nearly every scene, whether she's about to rage out against somebody, or she's freaking the hell out when her sister's life is in danger, or she's endangering other people's lives. She's almost always at an 11, and it works in every single scene. It's such a unique character, because this really could have been played differently. You could have had like the more Hollywood-friendly, like late 90s version of a high school girl who's watching somebody that she cares about become a werewolf, and it could have been slightly more relatable. I could see test audiences saying that Bridget in this movie is pushing them away because she's so weird. But I love everything she does in the film. It's a really, really great performance, and I think kind of overlooked. And the script by Karen Walton is fabulous. It deftly explores what adolescence might be like for a girl, but through the lens of turning into a werewolf. It's not just about her in the bathroom noticing that she's growing giant nails and that hair is coming into places it shouldn't be. You also have scenes where they're at the supermarket trying to figure out what tampon to get. And she injected all of that subtext into the film really brilliantly. This is one of my favorite werewolf movies, and honestly, the sequel, which I never hear anyone talk about, is pretty good. It's not bad at all. I was with my friend tonight, we watched this movie together, and he was like, he's never seen the sequel, and he was like, it's probably shit, right? And I was like, actually, it's not bad. Ginger Snaps 2 is pretty good if you have a chance to see it. Check that one out too. Guys, thank you so much for continuing to watch the 12th annual Halloween special. Look forward to more videos very soon. And if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.